Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for Date with an Author. I'm Michelle Martin, the Peterson Business Librarian at Greenwich Library, and we are joined tonight by Emmy Award-winning journalist Mary Civiello, who will be talking to Deanna Mulligan about her new book. Mary, take it over. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Michelle. The pandemic is really accelerating technology transformation in businesses around the world. It is changing what we do and how we work. Think remote, for starters. So how do we prepare our children and ourselves for all of this change? A great new book just out answers some of those questions and much more. Higher Purpose. It is written by Deanna Mulligan, chairman and past CEO of Guardian Insurance. Deanna joins us now. Hi, Deanna. How are you?
Hi, Mary. Thanks. It's great to be here this evening.
Deanna, I know that you started writing this book long before the pandemic, yet it is perfect for what we're going through right now, the focus on the workforce for today and the workforce for tomorrow. Talk to us about what got you to want to write this book.
Well, Mary, it goes all the way back to 2008 during the financial crisis, when many people around me and around all of us were losing their jobs. Many professionals, many managers, leaders had a hard time getting back to work after the 2008 financial crisis. And I had just started at Guardian, and I was looking at what was happening and thinking, I don't want that to happen at Guardian. I don't want us to have to lay people off, completely disrupt their lives, contribute to what's going on here. So we need to find a way to reskill people and rethink what we do for the new post-2008, post-Great Recession economy. So it actually goes all the way back.
So reskilling, and I mean, if there was ever a time I was talking about technology and transformation and all of this machine learning and artificial intelligence, it was around before the time in recent years, but now there's so much more adoption of these new technologies that are great for business, but it does require reskilling for workers, right?
Absolutely. All of the things you talked about require an entirely different IT platform inside of a big company, and also requires people to rethink how they do their day-to-day jobs. So at Guardian, over the last 5 years, we've really refocused as we redid our technology platform. We've really helped people think about the new skills that they will need and how to be retrained. Now, not everyone, let's face it, wants to do that. So we have had some people retire. We've had some people choose to take a severance package, but we have had many people take us up on our offer to retrain and learn new things, even late in their career. And I think it's been really rewarding for us. And it's also helped us because from a business standpoint, it's very expensive to terminate people and go hire new ones. And you've seen the statistic that over the next 10 years, globally, 85 million new jobs will need to be filled with that require new kinds of skills. You're not going to be able to just go out to the marketplace and hire all new people. Companies have to focus on reskilling and training the people they already have.
So training has long been, you know, we understand that that's essential, but times are really tough and resources thin. What is the argument that you can make for investing in this way?
Well, first of all, I think any company that hopes to win in the new environment is going to have to invest in people. Mm-hmm. I think that's true almost any time, but more so now when customers need more help and times are changing rapidly. We need to make sure we support the people they have so they can meet customer demand. And I understand that, you know, every budget is tight. However, training doesn't have to be expensive. There are a myriad of resources available. Local community colleges, for example, are a great resource, and we've used them many times for inexpensive training and also hiring their graduates to work with us as interns, and really they come out of community college with practical skills. So that's one great resource. Another free resource is online. for example, Apple offers courses online free to anybody on how to use their technology and code for their technology. It's meant for educators and students and individuals, but small businesses, for example, could use those resources as well. So I think you have to be a little bit creative, but there are ways to do this without spending a lot of money.
So you're talking a little bit about partnering with a community college, talking about using some of the resources from an Apple and other. I think it was Satya Nadella that said that Higher Purpose, your book, really did provide a very prescriptive, a roadmap to investing and reskilling the workforce. Anything else that you've got that we should be thinking about as business leaders?
Well, what we did is we actually went out and interviewed many businesses, small and large. So the book is not just about Guardian and what we've done, but it gives lots of examples of what companies have done across the country and really across the world. So everything from in Chicago, where local businesses band together with their community college to start a European-style internship program for local community college graduates, which has been a big success, to upstate New York, where a local cabinet making company used the free resources available from IBM, from the IBM P-Tech school model, to set up a model high school in their area where students could take woodworking classes and actually do an internship at this little woodworking factory that made cabinets after school. So we have all kinds of examples in the book of small and large businesses around the country. Some people brought in consultants, but some people used free resources that were available online.
So very tangibly, I mean, maybe, keying off what you did at Guardian, do you think if a business leader is listening out there, that you would designate somebody within your business? I mean, you said a consultant, but you could also just designate somebody in your business to pull all this together and read Higher Purpose.
Some companies have designated a chief learning officer, and I think that's a great idea if you need to provide focus inside the company and somebody to really be looking for these resources and matching them to the issues and the problems you have. But some companies have said, we're not going to have a chief learning officer. We're going to build a culture of learning, and everyone needs to be a learning officer. So I think it kind of depends on what works for your culture and your company.
So talk to us about what reskilling and what some of the what happened at Guardian. I mean, did you do some online learning, because that's certainly where people would be focused right now in this virtual world that we're in. How did that look?
Yes, we before COVID, we used a mix of virtual and classroom learning, but we're continuing during the pandemic when our offices are all shut down and we're doing everything online. So 2 examples from Guardian of what we did. As you may know, life insurance companies are largely run by actuaries who look at statistics and decide what rates should be, how rates should be set, who should be covered by insurance, and so on. They do the bulk of the heavy lifting inside an insurance company. But actuaries' skill sets and paths were set a long time ago, before the current kind of latest technological revolution. And actuaries largely do their work by sampling. They sample. And our chief actuary a few years ago decided that we actually have the computing power now that we don't have to take samples of large numbers. We can crunch all the numbers. We can do everything. We don't have to sample. And that leads to actuaries really requiring a different skill set, more of a data analytics skill set and a skill set of working with large data sets. So we designed a program working with General Assembly, which was at that time a startup company, but now has been bought by a larger company.
Right.
We worked with General Assembly, who teaches people in corporations how to learn new technologies. And they set up a year-long program that required 10 hours a week of classroom work and 10 hours a week of study outside of work. We had 20 actuaries in our first class. They all graduated after a year. And we have had some who have joined our data analytics group and are doing the same work that our PhD data scientists are doing. But many of them stayed in their own job, but were really able to expand the role and change the role of actuary and make it more business oriented and help business leaders with their data analysis problems. So that's an example, of a really specific skill, a very technical skill that received an upgrade. On the other end, we have people who work in our call centers and answer the phone and do customer service work. And we've started a new pilot to teach them how to code. And we've had 5 graduates of that program, who are actually going to come back and help us in our call center automation projects. And they're going to be really successful, I think, because they've actually done the job and now they're writing the code.
Wow, interesting stuff. Now, when you think about reskilling or signing up for training, share with us your experience about getting people who are just, oh geez, I'm already overwhelmed with so much. Having to learn a new way of working here at virtual. How do you get people engaged and up for this? Change is always difficult, even if the benefit is described down the road.
You're right. Some people are not going to want to change, and we always have that percentage of people. But we're finding that most of our people are really excited to learn something new. They're looking at the world changing around them. They don't want to be left behind. And we have a very customer-focused, customer-centric culture at Guardian, and they can see the benefits of learning the new technology so that they can have better ways of serving the customer. Let's face it, we all use Amazon and we all use other very customer-centric models that are out there. And, our employees do too. And they realize this is the way that people want to have things delivered. They want it to be fast. They want it to be online. They want it to be secure. They don't want to have to do things necessarily, in the physical world. They want to be able to do things in the virtual world.
Right.
So employees are excited to jump on that bandwagon and learn the skills that are going to be necessary for them to deliver service in that way.
Deanna, if you were advising a high school student today on how to prepare for the future, what would you suggest? 4-year degree? We hear plenty of stories out of Silicon Valley of people who bailed out of college and did, pretty well. What advice would you give?
Well, I think, Mary, obviously pursuing a 4-year degree is a very individual situation, and I don't think I can give broad advice. I will say that we now have jobs at Guardian for which we formerly required a 4-year degree, where we are now accepting people into those jobs who don't have a 4-year degree, who have come out of, let's say, a code academy where they've learned to code, or come out of an apprenticeship program in a community college, and they may even have a certificate or a 2-year degree. And that's working well for us. So I would say for people for whom a 4-year degree isn't an option, or who prefer not to spend 4 years preparing for work, that in the world of technology and the rapid change we're seeing, there are other ways to enter a company. I mentioned earlier that Apple has these courses online. They've recently declared that people who complete those courses and send in the coursework to Apple will be considered for an interview whether they have a college degree or not. So I think the world is changing in terms of using a college degree as a way to sort people in terms of who can apply for jobs and who can be considered and who can't. Obviously, a 4-year degree still has terrific value, but in the world of work, a 4-year degree is just a start. We're all going to have to be continuous learners going forward.
What do you think that what we're going through right now, what kind of impact, think about the impact that on employees who are working remotely, some of them having, feeling a little isolated and separate. In fact, that's what all the statistics are showing, is that while a lot of people enjoy it, especially knowledge workers enjoy working from home, there's a lot of people who also feel a little left out of the corporateness, a little, not part of the organization. It's impacting culture. Do you think that a reskilling program at this point in time could actually be a good opportunity to re-engage people?
Absolutely, Mary. And I understand what you're saying, that many people, I think all of us really are missing human interaction. And
Yeah.
while Zoom is a great tool and it allows us to do many things that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise in this pandemic environment, it isn't a 100% substitute. But at Guardian, we've tried to find ways to keep people engaged. And we've had, small group, large group meetings. We've had Zoom baking contests, and here's a Zoom tour of my office. Anything we can think of to keep people engaged and to keep that personal interaction going. And I do think that taking courses really at work online really does open up another avenue for people, because they can chat virtually with their fellow students, and they may be people for whom on a day-to-day basis they wouldn't normally get to know. So it is another avenue of interacting, is taking courses and engaging in online learning.
So a great way, reskilling and doing it, really getting it off the ground right now might be a really good opportunity, not just to get people trained, but to have them feel more part of the organization, like you're investing in them. There's a level of thanks there.
Absolutely. We see really high engagement scores from people who have gone through our retraining programs. And we don't just train people in new skills, we've also started training people in how to manage their careers. So we've done this 2 years in a row now. In August, we have Leader Learning Day, and we've actually changed August into Learning Month. And August is the month where we put out a lot of career development oriented material. We have everything from 30-minute online, we call them sound bites, that you can, courses you can take during your lunch hour, to longer personalized career management coaching for people to think about, how is work changing? How are the demands of our customers changing? How is that going to change my job?
Yeah.
What skills will I need for the future? Where can I find the resources to get those skills? And then, is that what I want to do, or do I want to do something else? Because we do have people who go through these programs and decide, okay, I want to do this, but I want to do it in a different way, or I want to do it for a different company. I mean, retraining people and giving them skills does open up the possibility that they may decide to do something else or do it.
That's right. You could lose them if you train them. What do you say to leaders who say, geez, I invest all of this, and then the good ones leave? They've got new skills.
We hear that a lot. We say, what if, leaders say to me, what if I train my people and then they leave?
Yeah.
And I say, what if you don't train them and they stay? That would be even worse.
That's right, because you have an unskilled worker so you really need. Absolutely. Good one to remember. You were CEO, you're still chairman, you were CEO of Guardian Life Insurance, big insurance company for many years. I want you to look ahead a few years, let's say 5 years. You've seen your workforce make the transition to virtual learning. What do you think the workplaces, are we going to fill all those buildings in Midtown Manhattan? Are we going to, or the equivalent across the country? Or is it going to be 50-50? What's it going to look like, Deanna?
Well, I'm asked that question a lot, and I don't have a crystal ball with regard to the corporate real estate market. But I can say that I don't think that we will replace personal human interaction 100% with Zoom and other technologies. While, it's working fine now, while we have to use it, I do see that people want to get together. They just want that human factor. Will we be spending as much time on the road traveling as we used to when we can now do Zoom? I don't know. I had someone say to me the other day, I've taken my last airline flight to California for a 1-hour lunch. And
there
because
you
I'm
go.
going to do it
so
by Zoom.
Unnecessary. Right. So it'll be play by play. I want to just focus 1 minute, Deanna, on the title of your book. It's Higher Purpose. So a little play on words. Explain that.
Well, it's Higher Purpose, spelled H-I-R-E, purpose. And it came about because Guardian is essentially a purpose-driven company. We are 250, give or take, on the Fortune 500, so we're a very large company. but we're not public. We're owned by our policyholders.
Mhm.
And we've been in business for 160 years, and we always like to say we'll be around for another 160 years.
Mhm.
And we have values that we take very seriously. We do the right thing. People count. We hold ourselves to very high standards. When I joined Guardian, I was surprised to find that employees actually discuss those values in meetings, and they bring them up as decision-making tools. So Guardian is a very purpose-driven company. So higher purpose, HIRE, just seemed to fit with our culture, and quite frankly, was part of the reason that we developed a lot of these retraining and reskilling programs, because in our culture, firing large numbers of people just doesn't feel like the right thing to do.
So so focusing on purpose helps you get through the day to day, but also make decisions on difficult issues.
That's right. That's right. Our purpose is really to serve our policyholders, who are our owners. And as an insurance company, particularly a life insurance company, we're with people in their worst times. We're with people when someone dies, when someone gets sick, when someone is disabled and can't work. That's when we step in with the funds to help them. And many times, if someone is disabled, we also provide retraining and reskilling through our disability business. So we are very purpose driven, and we find that people join Guardian because they want to help.
So in our last few minutes here, Deanna, can you tell us, there's a lot of books on that shelf at the Greenwich Library. Tell us why you feel as though we should pick up Higher Purpose and read it.
Well, today, Mary, we've been discussing examples that are particular to Guardian, but as I said earlier, the book is full of examples of all kinds of companies, large and small, all around the world, the United States and Europe, and personal stories of how people were impacted by the retraining that they received from their employers. And as we move into this post-COVID environment and we see the kinds of unemployment we've been seeing, people are going to have to retrain and reskill for a new and different world. Some of the changes you and I were just discussing in the world of work that were brought about by this kind of change to the Zoom environment are going to persist. They may not persist in as a great a volume as they are today, but there are going to be changes. And so everyone really who works in a company, and even entrepreneurs, are going to have to reskill and think about, what's my next career move? So my book was written for all of them.
Wonderful. So your message is, start small, but get started now. There's no time like the present crisis, and Higher Purpose can really help. Deanna Mulligan, great book, a great read, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you for joining me this evening.